Let's talk about something that's often misunderstood on the twin flame journey. Something that quietly delays union more than anything else, and yet rarely gets the attention it deserves. It's not his fear of love, not his karmic entanglements, not even the emotional immaturity that so many people point fingers at. The biggest block to union for the divine masculine is the belief that he's not enough. That's it. But don't let the simplicity of that statement fool you. This is not some fleeting insecurity that can be brushed away with a compliment or temporary validation. This goes deep, way deeper than what most people ever get to see. It's ancient, embedded, a wound that stretches across lifetimes, cultures, and generations of conditioning. And it's this very wound that quietly shapes how he shows up or doesn't in this connection. You might look at him and see someone who's running, pushing you away, avoiding the truth, hiding in distractions, or choosing a life that looks nothing like love. But beneath all of that, there's a man who believes he isn't enough to meet you, to match you, to hold you, to be seen fully and still be loved. And that fear, it rules everything. Let's start from the beginning. The divine masculine, from a very young age, was never taught to connect with his inner world. He was taught to perform, to prove, to earn his worth, be strong, be successful, be logical, be needed, but never be vulnerable, never break down, never say, I don't know who I am. So he becomes a builder, a protector, a provider, but not necessarily for himself. He builds a life that looks good from the outside because he thinks that's what will make him worthy of being loved. He learns how to suppress what's soft and raw and replace it with achievements and armor. All the while, his heart is quietly starving. Then he meets his twin. And she doesn't want the mask. She sees through it. She touches the part of him he spent years hiding, even from himself. She calls forward his soul, not his job, not his image, not his strength, but his truth. And that's terrifying because he was never taught how to live in his truth. He was only ever taught how to be impressive, not how to be real, not how to be himself. So now he's standing in front of a love that demands nothing but his authentic self, and he's not sure that's enough. Because no one ever showed him that it could be. You see, it's not about you not being lovable. It's about him not believing that he can be loved for who he really is. That's the root. The shift starts when he begins to question the stories he inherited, the unconscious rules he's lived by his whole life, when he dares to go back and reclaim the parts of him he buried to survive. That's when real healing begins. Not when he changes jobs, not when he leaves his relationship, but when he looks at himself and says, maybe I'm allowed to just be. Shame is sneaky. It's not loud like guilt. It's quiet, creeps in under the surface, and it tells him he's broken in some way, that there's something inside him that makes him unworthy of real love. Maybe it's the mistakes he made in the past, the pain he caused, the things he doesn't talk about, or just the deep fear that he doesn't know how to love someone the way they deserve. And then here you come. You in your light, your softness, your clarity, you who loves with your whole soul and isn't afraid to feel it all. He sees that, and he doesn't feel excited or flattered, not at first. He feels exposed, like you've just held up a mirror to everything he thinks he's not. You're not showing him his flaws, you're reflecting his potential, his truth, his divinity. But when someone is carrying shame, even their greatness can feel unbearable. It's not that he doesn't want to rise, it's that he doesn't believe he can. So what does he do? He avoids the mirror. He hides, detaches, pulls away. It's not always logical. You can't reason with shame. He may even blame you, project onto you, or reject the connection altogether. Not because he doesn't care, but because deep down he thinks you'll eventually do it to him anyway. This is where so many divine feminines get confused. They take the silence or rejection personally. They start to shrink. They try to prove their worth, thinking maybe if they show how patient and loyal they are, he'll finally believe it too. But the truth is, you can't make someone see themselves until they're ready. All you can do is keep holding your light without dimming it. He'll come back to the mirror when he's ready, when the shame starts to crack under the weight of his own soul, when he gets tired of running from what's real. That's when he begins to see that your love was never a threat. It was an invitation. Another thing that blocks union, and this is a big one, is his need to stay in control, not just of the situation, but of himself. Why? Because surrendering to this connection means surrendering everything he thought he knew about love, identity, life purpose, even his own emotions. He's been taught to equate control with strength. Letting go? That feels like chaos to him. Vulnerability? That feels like danger. And love, true, soul-igniting, no-holds-barred love, requires both. So when the twin flame energy starts to build, his instinct isn't always to lean in. Sometimes it's to shut down, because the energy feels too big, too unpredictable, too out of his hands. And deep down, he doesn't trust that if he lets go, he'll be held. It's not you he doesn't trust. It's the surrender, the unknown, the loss of his grip on how things are supposed to go. But here's the truth. He was never really in control to begin with. The more he tries to grip tightly, onto logic, onto old relationships, onto his career, onto his ego, the more the universe begins to break those illusions down. Because the twin flame path isn't about staying safe. It's about becoming free. And sometimes freedom looks like everything falling apart. This is where the masculine has to learn that control isn't the same thing as power. True power is presence. It's trust. It's the ability to meet life as it is, without trying to force it into shape. It's the courage to say, I don't have the answers, but I'm willing to find them. And when he lets go of control, not out of defeat, but out of faith, everything starts to shift. Because now he's not trying to manage love. He's starting to receive it. Let's be real here. Union requires ego death, on both sides. But the divine masculine often experiences it in a more jarring, existential way. Because everything he built his identity on, his job, his status, his relationships, his belief system, starts to crumble when this connection enters his life. It's not just that he has to change a few things. It's that the foundation itself starts to shake. And that can feel like death, because it is, not of the soul, but of the false self he's been clinging to. The part of him that believed love had to be earned, that feelings made him weak, that vulnerability wasn't safe, that his value came from what he did, not who he is. The twin flame journey doesn't ask him to become someone new. It asks him to remember who he's always been, beneath the programming, the trauma, the stories. And to get there, the ego must loosen its grip. This isn't an easy process. The ego doesn't go quietly. It fights, it resists, it clings to the old life, even when it no longer fits. He may spiral, he may rebel. He may try to force himself back into the box, hoping that if he just tries harder, the discomfort will go away. But it won't, because his soul has already tasted something real. And once that happens, there's no going back. The sooner he allows the identity to fall, the sooner his real self can rise. That's the version of him that's capable of union. Not the perfect man, not the powerful one, but the authentic one. The one who's brave enough to say, I'm not who I thought I was, but I'm willing to find out who I am. And when he gets to that place, that's when the walls fall. That's when he becomes available, not just to the feminine, but to himself. This might sound strange at first, but it's one of the most important truths on the twin flame journey. The divine masculine cannot fully choose you until he's chosen himself first. And by choosing himself, I don't mean in a selfish or self-centered way. I mean he must recognize his own soul, his own value, and his own path, independent of anyone else's expectations. A lot of people assume that if two souls are meant to be together, love should be enough to make it work. But this journey is deeper than love alone. It's about inner alignment. And if he's not aligned with himself, if he doesn't know who he truly is beneath the masks and roles, then even the deepest love can feel overwhelming. You may feel ready, you may feel open, you may even be doing everything right. But if he hasn't come home to himself, he can't meet you fully. He'll keep feeling pulled in different directions. He'll question everything, not because he doubts you, but because he hasn't found a stable foundation within. He has to learn to stop looking outward for validation. He has to take a break from being the version of himself that pleases others or meets the standards society placed on him. That version may have gotten him far in the external world, but it doesn't bring him peace. And peace is what his soul is truly craving now. So he must pause. He must tune out the noise, step away from what's expected of him, stop trying to prove, perform, or please, and begin asking questions he might have avoided for a long time. Who am I without the pressure? What do I truly want from this life? What kind of man do I want to be, not for the world, but for myself? These are not easy questions, and the answers don't come overnight, but they're necessary. Because the version of him that can meet you in real union is the version that's chosen himself first. Not from ego, but from awareness, from love, from a place of inner safety. When he starts choosing himself in small, quiet ways, like listening to his emotions instead of pushing them down, or walking away from what doesn't feel right anymore, something begins to shift. His choices stop being reactions to pain and start becoming responses to truth. He starts letting go of what's fake. He starts embracing what's real. He stops hiding. He stops performing. He chooses honesty over image, presence over perfection. And when he does that, he starts coming back to himself, slowly, gently, piece by piece. And it's not always visible from the outside. Sometimes it happens in silence. Sometimes it looks like nothing's changing. But internally, everything is. And when he fully chooses himself, not just in theory but in practice, something beautiful happens. He becomes available. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, soulfully. Because now he's not coming to you from a place of fear or lack or need. He's coming to you as someone who knows who he is and wants to meet you soul to soul. That's the version of him that's truly ready for union. Not the man who tries to be perfect, but the man who's present, grounded, real. And that's what makes the connection finally feel safe for both of you. When we talk about what blocks the divine masculine from union, people often focus on surface level stuff, the karmic ties, the delays, the communication issues, the emotional avoidance. And yes, all those things play a role, but none of them are the root. The deepest block isn't outside of him, it's inside. It's the belief that he's not enough. This belief is quiet, but it runs deep. It tells him that he has to earn love. That love is something he has to work for or prove himself worthy of. It makes him feel like he has to become someone else, stronger, more successful, more together, before he's lovable. And that belief becomes a wall, not just between him and you, but between him and his own heart. Because here's the thing, he is already enough. He just doesn't know it yet. He's always been enough. He just forgot. The world taught him otherwise. And now, the journey is about remembering what was never actually lost. The twin flame path is not about chasing. It's not about fixing. It's not even about waiting. It's about becoming. It's about shedding the layers of fear and illusion, letting go of the old identities, reconnecting with the truth that's always been there, buried beneath the noise. And the truth is, he doesn't need to do anything special to be worthy of love. He just needs to see himself clearly. To recognize that he is already whole, already sacred, already love. The moment that truth sinks in, not just as an idea, but as something he feels, everything changes. His decisions shift, his energy softens, his walls begin to lower, and the gap between you starts to close. Because the real gap was never between your bodies. It was between your souls and your beliefs about yourselves. Until he reaches that point, it's important that you keep anchoring into your light. Not to prove anything, not to wait endlessly, but to stay in alignment with your own truth. Because your light, your grounded presence, your unwavering authenticity reminds him of who he really is. Even when he's forgotten, even when he's distant, he might not say it. He might not even fully understand it yet, but his soul feels you. It always has. And when the illusion of not enough finally cracks open, when the fear dissolves and the truth shines through, he'll remember what this was all about. Not perfection, not performance, not pressure, but truth. You were never asking him to be anyone else. You were only calling him home. And deep down, that's the place he's been searching for all along.